Hello everyone, and welcome to a new episode of BobBoom. This one's going to be a little different. This is actually going to be a video game review. And it's because quite a few friends of mine were pretty upset with the things that I had to say to Fallout 4. They said that a lot of it was kind of unjustified, too opinionated, or I'm too negative about it. Well, I wanted to maybe flesh some of those opinions out a little bit more in less of an angry rant kind of way, and more of me trying to iterate exactly what I was referring to. So, let's see. So I guess now is a good time to try and go over the game as objectively as possible. This means I'll cover improvements to the title and go over the negatives in a clear-cut manner. To make this easier for you, I will start from things that I've noticed from the start of the game and slowly build up to what I realized late game. My play file currently has 1 day and 11 hours, plus even more probably at this point. At this point, I've actually uninstalled it, but I never really bothered to look at how much time I was playing other than that one time I checked. So suffice to say, I've seen a fair share, and I can give a solid basis on what I've been playing. At the start of Fallout 4, there is a character creation screen that makes creating a character very easy and is integrated very well with the environment. Your character stands there with their lover in front of a bathroom mirror, and your perspective is as if you were the mirror. The characters make comments on things like facial hair changes and design choices. This doesn't add to the gameplay, but it's a nice touch. At the same time, character customization is very limited this time around. A lot of the colors seem to blend, and even choosing an eye color seems to make no difference. Its hues are too dark to tell if your eyes are green, blue, or even brown, and a lot of the hairstyles are static or don't even look natural. They look very plastic. The previous titles had lots of mods for hairs and stuff that would make them free flow and stuff like that, but we'll get into why mods and stuff can barely make this game any better later. After I was done customizing the woman of my dreams that will never come, I was greeted by a robot butler. His design worked amazingly for the universe. His eyes twitched and zoomed, the arms dangled as he hovered. The audio work for his voice was solid. The unpainted parts of him and the chassis had light reflection, and he looked like a brand new, out-of-the-box robot, ready to work. He was even programmed to say the name that you typed in for your character. Except it was very limited, and he had maybe about 4 different variations of saying the word boob. Just after a bit of walking around and talking in the living room of the perfect suburban home, the doorbell rings and there's a man in a hat with a coat, and he says he works for a company famous for this franchise, Vault-Tec. Here is where the bad things start to happen. When the E3 presentation for Fallout 4 happened, Todd Howard, the lead game designer, said that the conversations in the game were dynamic, that you could choose to talk in whatever way you wanted to a person. You could even walk away from a conversation, and some of this is true. You can walk away from a conversation, and the NPC is even scripted to say something about it. The NPC even says things while you think about an answer or take too long to answer. The oncoming problem with this are the answers themselves. You don't know what you're getting with the responses you give out. The answers you pick on screen tend to just be variant ways of saying yes, no, maybe, or more information. And other than saying no, most of the time the conversation swings back to you talking to them again. For instance, this Vault-Tec man stood at my home's door and asked if I would fill out a survey. I said no. He insisted. I said no again. He insisted again. I said no a 3rd time, and my NPC spouse decided that I should do it, so my character immediately did the survey. I know what you're thinking. The survey is to create your character, so I have to do it. And you're right, but you're also kinda wrong. I shouldn't have to do it. From a design perspective, it doesn't matter what choice I would have picked. All 4 options would have led me to doing the survey. This punishes me for playing the character that I want to play. I'll give a solid example. And I know some of you are kind of weirded out by this. In the game Metal Saga for PlayStation 2, the character at the start of the game is given the option of being a hunter like his dad, or being a mechanic like his mother. If you chose Hunter, you would embark on the game's main story and progress further. If you selected a mechanic, you would have received a cutscene with dialogue and story explaining how you lived a happy life and grew old as a mechanic in a safe, quiet little town. A game over sequence happens, and this isn't designed to be a middle finger to the player, but instead it's a way to what is it? Give you a good laugh, but also push you in the direction for what choices you really should have been making in order to progress through the game. If I said no to the Vault-Tec employee, I should have been able to close the door and let the nuke come, taking in the consequences of my actions. Instead, I'm constantly looped back into the conversation until I reluctantly accept it. This happens with many, many quests later. So it gets to the point that just saying no can't be enough. Almost every conversation that you have to walk away with them. You have to walk away from the NPC so your quest log doesn't update with some other problem that they have. They start saying, oh, hey, I need help with this thing, and it starts blurring off in the distance because you're running away. You don't want to hear it. You don't want, oh, there's going to be some raiders over there. Of course, there's always raiders everywhere. If you don't want a quest log filled with those, just walk away. Anyways, after filling out the survey, the sirens begin to go off and you need to run for your life with your family to the nearest vault so you can survive. Don't take the wrong path, or else the nuke drops early and you restart from the previous save. Again, why couldn't the nukes drop after I told the man to screw off is beyond me. Especially if they can do a nuke sequence right after the survey. You run and get into the vault, and you are eventually put into cryostasis for no discernible amount of time, yet in the plot until, you can't tell until a new cutscene happens. In this cutscene though, spoiler alert, you see your child being taken from your spouse, then your spouse is shot point blank and killed. Okay? Aside from this person being my NPC spouse, why am I supposed to care? Sure, it's dreadful. Trust me, it's dreadful the person got shot and is your lover and all, but there was no connection to that character or the player. We don't have backstory on them. We didn't spend time with them to grow attached. I mean, you as a player to any of the characters, all you knew pretty much was their name or that they were called Hun, and that's about it. They were simply there to carry the baby so your character didn't have to. Then you progress through the plot as someone that dies within the first, 20 minutes. Now, let's talk about your character creation a little bit more. With some of these improved RPG mechanics. Originally, in the previous 3 major Fallout titles, you could predetermine your character's abilities, making them unique to you and your playstyle. Of course, everyone late game became stupidly overpowered and all the stats evened out. But that's not the case here. Right out of the gate, without a single shred of roleplay outside of the character's looks, you are not different or unique. You can either make strength a glowing attribute or make yourself incredibly lucky or just a well-rounded character. The core stats are the only stats you can customize to start off with as you level up. If you want to play as a character that knows medicine very well at the start, you're excluded. If you want a character that's some nerdy tech guy and can hack all the computers real early, you're excluded. There's no opportunity for your character to shine other than the base attributes. Once the stats are chosen, you have to go along a very easy to understand chart. I mean, there are animations for each ability, and it's just another cute thing in the game that doesn't really add any gameplay. So like when you're going along this chart, there's like little animations for all the different perks that you can select. But like I said, it adds nothing to the gameplay. It's just cute. There are no skills this time around. Instead, most of the skills have been merged into a perk. You can eventually get all of them because now apparently there's no level cap. You get 1 perk every level, so just to be good at melee, I would need to stack tons into strength, then wait for my first few level ups, and then think about investing into anything melee related for the build to be viable. Everyone starts off the same, pretty much. Then your main character is voiced. Both the male and the female voices have no different variations on it whatsoever, so it doesn't matter if you make a really burly big guy in the character customization, and you put all your points in strength and you want to make him sound deep and tough and all this other kind of stuff, like, it doesn't matter. The voice will always stay the same for that character, which is a pretty big downer because now you're kind of breaking a little bit of your imagination, a little bit of your own immersion. And if you want to play a very neutral or evil character, that's kind of gone too, with most friendly NPCs now being unkillable, other than maybe 3 companions. Every companion judges you sternly on your actions in a very, very negative way. So it's like, oh, hey, look, there's a stim pack. I really need a stim pack. You stole it? Well, guess what? They frowned upon that. There's no more karma system anymore. It's all about your companions liking you or not, which that kind of gives a little bit too much of I don't know, a forced relationship kind of thing. It doesn't really change much of the gameplay whatsoever unless you wanted to eventually maybe romance the character or get a specific perk with them. But other than that, steal whatever. Who cares what the NPCs think? Oh, man. Let's see. Speaking of starting off the same, everyone eventually picks up the same gun at the start in the vault, the 10mm pistol. The gun models this time around look fantastic. The barrels on a minigun heat up and turn red. The newer pipe pistol looks like it's made from Home Depot. Things like the new Ripper melee weapon look a lot stronger than before. Instead of just being a buffed electric turkey knife, it actually has a moving chain with teeth for its sawing action. And of course, the gameplay using a gun is a lot smoother this time around. If you're used to Call of Duty or any other action FPS, consider this as having the same kind of aiming mechanisms. The aiming is not really all that difficult. It's kind of floaty, and that's exactly what happens in Fallout 4 this time around. You know, where you point is where it's going to shoot. There's not really any kind of heavy recoil or anything to worry about. And speaking of the shooting, if you find a good gun, it's game over. You could have one. You could have one in every single one of your stats. And having a good gun just turn this game easy mode. If you find a good gun, that's all that matters. None of your stats actually matter. None of your perks matter. As long as you have a good gun and you have ammunition for it, you can pretty much just kill whatever's in front of you. And speaking of the guns, for a large portion of this game, almost every single NPC has a gun. Every single one of them. Other than the creatures that you're going to run into, there's non-stop raiders with guns. There's a faction called gunners with guns. Every single person has guns, and every single time that you kill one of them, they drop ammunition. You're never low on ammunition. In fact, almost I'm going to just say it, like 1 out of every 5 raiders or other NPCs drop a stim pack as well. By the time that I'm late game, I have about 50 stim packs. I didn't need to forage for any of that. I have not once needed to go up to an NPC to buy a stim pack because they're just so easy to get. I've never had to buy any ammunition other than something for like a rarer kind of gun, like something that's a sniper rifle that you got kind of early on, but there's no ammunition spawning anywhere for it. Another one of the lacking things here is an interesting plot, an interesting story. There's not really much going on for it. There's no real desire or element of surprise. There's no real time constraint going on. You're apparently on this mission to find your missing child from earlier that I mentioned that has been kidnapped after your spouse got shot. To go throughout the wasteland. Your mission is to go throughout the wasteland and find your missing child. The problem with this is that you kind of have no sense of emergency throughout the entire time. You can run around, you can loot, you can go wherever you want on the map, shoot stuff, collect things, whatever, go do some side quest or whatever. There's no pressure whatsoever for you to go find your missing child, despite you thinking that, oh no, they're like a baby still missing or whatever. And then eventually, you can do some of the main story quests and you'll find out more information about your missing child. And when it all comes down to it, your missing child ends up, this is another spoiler, skip ahead like 10 seconds. Your child pretty much ends up being the main villain of Fallout. So at the end, apparently because you were cryogenically frozen inside the vault and everything, and your kid was kidnapped beforehand, like you were still frozen for like another 50 years, he ends up being this old guy that wants to nuke all of the wasteland. So good luck with that. You can choose to side with him or you can be against him. That's it. Those are the only two endings in the game, and to be honest, that's kind of disappointing. That's pretty disappointing. I mean, I kind of like the twist. You know, you get to meet your son, and he's all like, "Oh, I'm old now. I'm gonna blow up everybody because I'm smart." I could have used a little bit more to it, because yet again, it's another character that I have no connection to whatsoever, other than the NPC. Like, I haven't spent time with this character to gain any kind of emotional attachment to them. I don't care about this character, whether or not they are dead or alive or anything. All right, cool. Found the son. Mission complete. Nah, he's a total asshole. No one likes him. That's kind of it. You could have fleshed a lot more things out. Now, some side quests, though, have actually been pretty fun. There was a side quest where you needed to help a bunch of robots that thought that they were Navy men on a ship, and you needed to help them reactivate their ship so they can go flying across the sky in it. So that one was kind of fun, because all of them are talking like pirates and seamen and a whole bunch of other kind of stuff. That one was fun. That one was original. That one was interesting. I was excited to do that one. And all the other kind of side quests were pretty shitty. I had no fun doing any of these other things other than, all right, I hope it gives me a lot of experience at the end. Let's get this over and done with. Nothing else was really all that interesting. There was one quest where you needed to go get a Deathclaw egg and then return it to the Deathclaw's nest. And the Deathclaw mom comes out and she's not attacking you or anything like that because you returned the egg. And, oh, nature, you're so scary, but you're so friendly too, kind of thing going on. All right, that was kind of interesting, I guess. There could have been so much more thought. I feel like this time around, Bethesda kind of just invested at most about 3 years into Fallout 4. And they're saying that they've worked on this for so long, because honestly, if they've worked on this game for 7 years, it should have been a lot more fleshed out. Like, you can honestly complete the whole game within 2 hours? If you just do the main quest. And sure, that's not really going to be the case for everybody. You can't just run around and just do whatever you want or anything like that. No. You gotta help this person. You gotta stop and help that person. You know, you gotta do all these grindy things so your character gets just a little bit more powerful for whatever reason, other than just to kill things faster than what your gun will let you. Let me start winding this down a little bit. Oh, one of the other weird things this time around is apparently radiation now is magic. A lot of these items now have special effects. Like, a lot of these weapons have special effects, and you know, that's kind of fun and all. Like, if you're a fan of like Borderlands or something like that, you know, very casual effects on it. Like, oh, this gun shoots an extra bullet every trigger pull, or this gun sets things on fire. That's fine and all, but then you find a sledgehammer that does ice damage and it looks like a regular sledgehammer. Come on, stop it. Like, yeah, you're already pushing it with the whole gun and the extra bullet thing. And sure, you could say, oh, you're just no fun or whatever. And I understand where you're coming from, but there are some things even in Fallout that just shouldn't exist. And it's a sledgehammer that does cryo damage when it looks like it just came out of a Lowe's shopping cart. Like, that's it. There was no like special attachments on it or anything to make it look unique. It just, all right, cool. It did ice damage. Whatever. Whew. Look, long story short, this game doesn't have much going for it on the RPG front or the survival front. It's oversimplified compared to previous titles. Its difficulty curve just makes enemies have more health. It's riddled with bugs, and the only map is excessively bland. Did they improve a lot of the models for enemies and weapons? Absolutely. Did they make the shooter element smoother? Absolutely. But for a direct sequel, this game leaves too much out for the modding community to fix. It's odd seeing a game that's taken so long to develop to be so shallow, especially when a lot of in-game elements seem to be ripped straight from Skyrim. Would I pay $60 for this? Never. But if there was ever a Game of the Year edition on sale for $20, well, sure. It gave me enough entertainment to justify some kind of price tag, just not the kind of price tag blurred by nostalgia hype goggles.